Hello, everyone. My name is Tahira Kramer, and I am a student child and youth care practitioner here at the Kujenga Wellness Project. Today, I'm going to be giving a short overview of how we as professionals can be an ally for the youth that we work with. Before I begin, I'd like to recognize that I'm giving this presentation from Oshawa, Ontario, part of the traditional lands of the people of the Mississauga of Scugog Island First Nation. We are thankful to be welcomed on these lands in friendship. The lands we are situated on are covered under the Williams Treaty and are the traditional territory of the Mississauga, a branch of the Anishinaabe Nation, including Algonquin, Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. These lands remain home to a number of Indigenous nations and people. We acknowledge these lands out of respect for the Indigenous nations who have cared for Turtle Island, also called North America, from before the arrival of the settler peoples until this day. Most importantly, we remember the history of these lands that has become tainted by poor treatment and a lack of friendship with the First Nations who call them home. This history is something we are all affected by, as we are all treaty people in Canada. We all have a shared history to reflect on, and each of us is affected by this history in different ways. Our past defines our present, but if we move forward as friends and allies, then it does not have to define our future. So today, the presentation is going to cover what an ally is, what youth need from us as allies, and how we actually become an ally. So what is an ally? An ally is a person who supports and defends a traditionally oppressed group, but is not part of that group themselves. Allies do not aim to speak for marginalized people, but instead use their privilege to create the space for members of that group to speak for themselves. You may find yourself becoming an ally for a wide variety of groups. Youth in general may be one of them, or perhaps an intersecting identity that the young people you work with hold. Whether you're seeking to become an ally for young Black, Indigenous, disabled, or queer youth, or for youth from another background, it's important to examine what that group really needs from you. It can be very hard to generalize the needs of your clients, especially when they represent diverse populations and have intersecting identities. However, there are some general themes among most youth that can help us to better understand what they need from us as allies. Research shows that young people who experience relationships with adults who make them feel like they're cared about have better outcomes. This probably isn't a surprise to you, but it's important to recognize that caring is not one size fits all. Youth want to be treated as individuals because they are. They all have unique needs and perspectives, which means that every time you enter a new working relationship, you need to start from scratch. The thoughts, opinions, and wishes of one youth are not going to translate over to the next. Our relationships with clients are, and should be, different than our personal friendships, but a lot of the same themes carry over. The young people that we have the chance to work with more often than not need a friend, and you don't need to compromise your professionalism in order to be that for them. Friendship means respect, honesty, and reliability. We're kind, we show up when we say we will, we're present and available, we don't sugarcoat the truth, and we also provide a source of positivity and hope. So while you're fulfilling your professional duties, you're also being who that person needs in the moment. The unique and wonderful thing about adolescents and young adults is that they have more freedom to make decisions for themselves than the younger clients we work with might. Most young people want to be involved in their care, and honoring our clients' decisions is very important. In general, the youth we work with want to be listened to, and they want to be taken seriously. Ultimately, they want to know that you will support them and believe what they say. Of course, a client's safety and well-being is always our top priority, but also make sure to consider how their sense of autonomy contributes to their wellness. So how does someone become an ally? This depends on the community and the context, but there are some general steps to take towards meaningful allyship. The first step to learning any skill is informing yourself. Seek out resources about marginalized groups by people in those groups. There are countless resources created by Black, Indigenous, queer, disabled, neurodivergent, and many other people about their experiences. The best information comes from the source, which isn't necessarily a university professor or researcher. Read, watch videos, attend presentations or conferences, and connect with colleagues or community members in a respectful, honest way. Listen to the people you hear from, but also understand that you're not entitled to education by anyone. What I mean by this is that any one member of a group cannot be expected to act as their ambassador. If you want to learn more about the experiences of disabled people, for example, Take advantage of Google, read books, and listen to speakers, but don't expect that your neighbor who uses a wheelchair will want to answer your questions or give you their life story. Questions are great, but they must be asked respectfully, and the person you ask always has the right to end the conversation. Your new knowledge is their everyday life, and it can be especially difficult to talk about with someone who doesn't experience it. So stay curious, have an open mind, and above all, respect your fellow human beings in the process. Being a successful ally means you continuously examine what you do, say, and think, as well as question your motivations and reasons. For example, I might notice that my circle of friends is mostly white like I am. Why? Do I avoid spaces that aren't mainly white? Do I dismiss racialized colleagues? Do I feel uncomfortable in relationships with people who aren't of the same race as me? This one realization can turn into a whole lot of questions that I can use to hold myself accountable. By noticing my unconscious biases and investigating my own behavior, I have the opportunity to learn and make changes. If you're not sure where to begin all this questioning, try identifying your areas of privilege. As a little side note, privilege is any advantage that you hold above others in society that is unearned. This can be in areas such as race, gender, sexual orientation, nationality, physical or mental ability, and others. It can also extend to areas that we might think of as being earned, such as wealth or education, because those things can be difficult to obtain when a person doesn't hold privilege in other areas. So take a moment to think about where you hold an advantage over others. You might notice that you hold privilege in some areas, but not others. It's important for all people to examine their privilege because it increases your awareness and allows you to see the world from someone else's perspective. It opens your mind and lets you question what you thought you knew. This can be an uncomfortable process. No one likes to realize they're wrong. However, it is necessary if you want to learn and grow as an ally. Now, getting back on track with our list, self-examination and diverse education provide the foundation for meaningful allyship. In order to truly engage in allyship, however, you have to act. There's no such thing as a silent ally. You need to use your position of privilege to elevate others and give them the space to speak. This can mean attending demonstrations or circulating petitions, but it doesn't have to. Allyship takes many forms, including having difficult conversations about a topic with friends or family, providing education to others, donating your time or money to social justice movements, or taking advantage of any opportunity you have to use your voice and affect positive change. Even small actions can have an impact. What is important is to show up, use your voice, and make room for the people who are fighting to be recognized. Be willing to self-reflect, re-educate yourself, and feel uncomfortable. Allyship is not easy work, but it's what we are called to do as social workers, child and youth care practitioners, and other helping professionals. We'd like to thank you for taking the first step towards allyship with us by listening to this webinar. We hope that it's been informative, and we encourage you to check out the resources that we have linked in the description of this video.